Have you ever caught yourself talking to yourself? Maybe before an exam, before a big decision, or even after making a mistake. Most people think self-talk is strange, but what if I told you it's one of the most powerful tools for success? And what if I told you that the most successful people in the world are constantly learning without waiting for a teacher? Today, we're talking about why self-talking is a life-changing skills you already developed unknowingly. Let's begin. First of all, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Vani, and this is my channel, EduNova Infinity. Why some voices may not stay in your head and come out when you're alone. Self-talking is the conversation you have with yourself. We've all been there. You're walking down the street, muttering to yourself about your to-do list, and you see someone look at you sideways. The immediate instinct is to feel embarrassed. We've been conditioned to think that talking to yourself is the first sign of losing your grip. But today, we're flipping the script. In the world of cognitive science, this isn't a glitch, it's an executive function. Whether you call it externalizing thoughts or private speech, talking to yourself is a sophisticated tool for cognitive regulation. It's not a sign of instability, it's a sign of a high-functioning brain. Why does speaking out loud work better than just thinking? It comes down to the production effect. When you think silently, you're using your internal monologue. But when you speak, you engage the motor cortex to move your jaw and the auditory cortex to hear your own voice. You are essentially double encoding the information. Scientists also point to the labeling effect. By giving a name to a chaotic emotion, a process known as affect labeling, you reduce activity in the amygdala, your brain's fear center, and increase activity in the prefrontal cortex. You aren't just venting, you are literally rewiring your emotional response in real time. Now you must be thinking, what's going on in your tiny brain? Believe me, friend, it's a miracle your tiny brain is doing for you. Let's see an example. When Sam failed his math test, he didn't cry. He went home, sat quietly, and said to himself, "I'm just not smart enough." That one sentence stayed in his head for weeks. Every time he opened his book, that voice repeated, "You can't do this." Now let me ask you something. How many times have you said something like that to yourself? Today, we're going to talk about two powerful forces that silently shape your life, self-talk and self-learning, and how they can either transform you or limit you. First, we have to understand, speaking out loud helps the brain process information more clearly. It's like thinking, but with sound. Many people solve problems faster or make decisions better when they verbalize them. Talking to yourself while alone is usually a sign of an active mind, a self-regulation tool, completely human. In fact, research shows self-talk can improve memory, confidence, and performance. We all have two voices inside us. One says, "You'll fail. You're not ready. Others are better." The other says, "Try again. You're improving. You've handled worse." The problem is not that we talk to ourselves. The problem is we don't choose which voice to listen to. Back to Sam. One day, instead of closing his math book, he paused and asked himself, "What if I'm not bad at math? What if I just haven't practiced enough?" That small shift changed everything. Your brain believes what you repeatedly tell it. Negative or positive doesn't matter. Self-talk built courage, and courage changes actions. It's the voice in your head that says, "I can do this. I'm not good enough. Try again. Don't give up." Now here's the important part. Your brain listens to what you tell yourself. If you constantly say, "I'm bad at math. I always fail. I can't do this," your brain starts believing it. But when you say, "I'm learning, I'm improving, I'll try again," your brain starts finding solutions instead of excuses. Self-talk shapes confidence. It shapes decisions. It shapes your future. Another example. Imagine you're staring at a spreadsheet or a piece of code that just won't work. Your thoughts are looping. The script: okay, I'm trying to get column A to calculate with B, but it's returning an error. Wait, it's because the cell format is text, not a number. If I change the format, the formula should trigger. The science: this is instructional self-talk. By verbalizing the logic, you force your brain to slow down and follow a linear path, breaking the cognitive loop of frustration. Or you're about to walk into a high-stakes interview, your heart is racing. The script: instead of saying, "I am nervous," you say, "Sam, you are feeling a rush of adrenaline because you care. You have prepared for 3 days. You are going to walk in, sit down, and breathe." The science: this is self-distancing. Using your own name instead of "I" reduces egocentric bias. It allows you to give yourself the same rational, calm advice you would give to a best friend. Why positive or negative both self-talks are powerful. Positive self-talk is not fake motivation. It's mental training. Athletes use it. Entrepreneurs use it. Public speakers use it. Before performing, they tell themselves, "I am prepared. I am ready. I can handle this." Why? Because your mind controls your performance. When you control your inner voice, you control your emotions. And when you control your emotions, you control your actions. And your actions determine your results. Now let's discuss about the negative talks. It really doesn't matter if your first thought is negative. Maybe you think, "What if I fail? What if this plan doesn't work?" That might be your first reaction. But what matters most is your second thought. Is it, "Let's see"? Or is it, "Let's not do that"? If your heart says, "Let's see," it means you're willing to take a risk, even if you don't feel completely ready. If it says, "Let's not do that," you might stop the plan entirely and move on, asking yourself, "Okay, what's next?" Remember, humans are unique. Among all living creatures, we have the ability to anticipate the future. We feel fear, we feel anxiety, we worry about long-term loss and consequences. So when you talk to yourself, you're not being strange, you're processing. You're identifying the issue, and almost instantly, your brain begins searching for the next best plan. Your thoughts guide your emotions, and your emotions guide your actions. Research from psychologist Dr. Ethan Kross at the University of Michigan shows that the way we talk to ourselves directly affects our emotional control and performance. In fact, studies show that using supportive self-talk, like "I can handle this," "I'll try again," reduces stress and improves decision-making under pressure. Another concept, called cognitive behavioral theory, CBT, explains that your thoughts influence your emotions, which influence your actions. So when Sam kept saying, "I'm bad at math," his brain reduced effort, his confidence dropped, his performance suffered. But when he shifted to, "I haven't mastered this yet," something changed. That's called a growth mindset, a term developed by psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck at Stanford University. Her research shows that people who believe abilities can improve through effort perform better over time than those who believe intelligence is fixed. Your self-talk literally changes your mindset. At EduNova Infinity, we believe learning has no limits, and neither do you. Months later, Sam took another test. He wasn't the top student, but he passed. And more importantly, he wasn't afraid anymore. Why? Because now his inner voice said, "I can figure this out." That's the power combination. Self-talk and learning builds belief. The dark side versus the light side. The quality of the talk matters. If your self-talk is a constant stream of negative cognitive distortions, like "I'm an idiot," "I always fail," you are essentially practicing self-hypnosis in the wrong direction. To shift this, we use cognitive reframing. Replace "I can't do this" with "this is a high-effort task." The shift from a fixed trait to a situational challenge changes your neurochemistry from a threat response to a challenge response. So, the next time you catch yourself narrating your life, don't stop. You aren't crazy. You are a director giving notes to your lead actor. You are a scientist peer reviewing your own theories. Start small. Tomorrow morning, tell yourself out loud what your primary goal is. Hear it, process it, and let your brain get to work. Your voice is the most powerful tool you own. Make sure you're using it to build yourself up, not tear yourself down. If this video inspired you, like the video and subscribe to EduNova Infinity for more powerful learning content. Do you practice positive self-talk? Write me in the comment box. Let's grow together.